How many did you save?
Just like a dream.
You did the only thing you could do. And you lost.
Like a dream.
Look, we're still in this thing.
The day you walked away.
But we have no idea what we're dealing with.
Unfortunate.
Things are getting worse around here, aren't they?
Boyd, we're out of food.
Too many things are changing. Yeah. I have to remember.
Rigged. Why can't they leave us alone?
No matter what this place throws at us, we're gonna find our way home. Everybody just talks about how afraid they are of dying. Well, I don't think that's the worst thing that can happen to you here. Hello?
Like a dream.
You looking for these?
Into my life.
You can't save them all.
But things are really hard than you see.
What is up? What is up? What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome one, welcome all to another edition of the Fromville Hour. And we are getting closer and closer and closer to season 3. I know Ando's ready. Ando is ready for season 3. Hell yes, my friend, I am too. And so is our good pal Smiley here as well. Smiley's ready for season 3. Smiley is also ready for season 3. He might be gone from the show, but he will never be forgotten. And we're getting closer now, guys. We are getting closer and closer. 26 days, just 26 days away from season 3 premiering. Less than a month now. Less than a month now, which is awesome news. Awesome news indeed. I know we have all been long awaiting the 3rd season of From to get here. And I think our patience is going to be well paid off. Well paid off in what looks to be a phenomenal 3rd season. Great. Isn't it a great photo? Absolutely. Right, Nikki? Love this Smiley photo. Me too. I saw, I don't know if it's an older one or if it's a newer one. I only just saw it today myself. So I thought, okay, let's, that one's going in the old Rolodex. Yeah, great Smiley photo. Great Smiley photo. Him holding up the Joker cup. Perfect. And this actually gave me a very interesting thought. The actor who played Smiley would probably, with the right writing and right direction and the right tone, could probably play a pretty good Joker. We've had some really good Jokers over the years, some really good actors playing some really good Jokers, so those are very tough shoes to fill. But I think Smiley could pull it off. I think Smiley could pull off a nice Joker. He's got the smile. I'm sure he could get down the laugh. I think he could do it. I think good old Jamie could do it. We need Jamie. We need Smiley, the Smiley Joker. That's what we need. We need Smiley Joker. But welcome one, welcome all again. Good to have everybody here tonight on this fine, fine evening. And tonight we are going to be talking about all things from season 3 and including who exactly or what exactly is the main villain of From. Who is the big bad? Who is the main antagonist of the show? Hasn't been revealed already. Have we yet to see this entity or person? Who exactly is going to be the main obstacle that our Fromville survivors are going to have to go up against? Will the boy in white turn out to be a little more sinister than we thought? Could he be a main villain potential? Could it be the entity that we wrestled with in season 2? Or could the very town itself, the very Fromville area itself, the town, the forest, could that in itself be the main antagonist? Who knows? Who knows? But I hope we find out soon. I hope we find out soon who is the big bad. But welcome one, welcome all. Let's see what we got here in the awesome chat. I see D-Wag in the house. What is up, D-Wag? Good to see you, my friend. And thank you so much for the shout out earlier. That was incredibly generous of you. Very much appreciate that, my friend. Very much appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, creeping up on 25,000 subs. Crazy. Who would have thunk? Who would have thunk? We got Eric Grant in the house. What is up, Eric Grant? Good to see you as well, my friend. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We got Ando in the building. What is up, Ando? We got Vic in the house as well. Welcome, welcome, Vic. We got BK in the building, or should I say Wayne Kerr in the building. Welcome, welcome. We got Leo V in the house. What is up, Leo V? Stopping by to show some love to the channel. Thank you so much, Leo V. And if you ever have a chance, man, get caught up on From. I think you would absolutely love it. I think you would absolutely love it. Give From a chance. We got Kiwi Skirt in the house. What is up, Kiwi Skirt? Good to see you as well. We got Ando throwing up the controversial take that I know all of our Donna fans in the chat are going to absolutely love. Is Donna the main villain? Oof, 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 oof. I know our Donna fans are not going to like that. Is Donna the main villain? I don't think so. I don't think Donna is as sus as she may have appeared in certain scenes in season 2. I think Donna is on the up and up. I think Donna is going to be a pillar of this community for a very long time. I could be wrong, but I got faith in good old Donna. I got faith in good old Donna. We got Seba in the house. What is up, Seba? Good to see you. We got Ricky ATD in the house. What is up, good people? What is up to you as well? I hope everybody is having a phenomenal Tuesday night. I hope everybody is having a good start to their week. Welcome, welcome. Daryl Seymour says the main villain is the Cromonocle. Oof. Could the Cromonocle turn out to be the main villain instead of the main hero? Interesting. Interesting. A lot of people have been wondering ever since it was a little bit more prevalent in season 1, the conversation around who exactly are some of these characters in Ethan's story. Is there a character that is the representation of the Cromonocle? And is there a character that's the representation of the Lonely Dragon, and so on and so forth? And it seemed like after season 1 and partway through season 2, a lot of people seem to think that Tabitha might be the representation of the Cromonocle, which I thought was pretty interesting. I thought it was pretty interesting. She could definitely fit the Cromonocle role, considering where her arc is taking her. But who knows? Maybe she could turn out to be the main villain, as Daryl Seymour says. Gotta watch out for that Cromonocle. We got Illegal Mods in the house. What is up, Illegal Mods? Good to see you as well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I think the main villain is the black figure in Victor's drawings, known as by theorists as the Boogeyman. Ooh, okay, interesting, interesting. Maybe that is the representation of the main villain that we maybe just haven't met on the show yet. That is certainly possible. I like it. I like the theory. We got Xavier in the house. What is up, Xavier? Good to see you, my friend. Welcome, welcome. We got Crystal in the house as well. What is up, Crystal? We got Mr. Bojangles in the house. What is up, Mr. Bojangles? We got Bitey. What is up, Bitey? Always good to see you as well, my friend. Hope you are doing swell. We got Julie Barbara in the house. What is up, Julie Barbara, who is currently catching up on another favorite show of ours, Lost, L-O-S-T, Lost, which, of course, anyone who has seen Lost and is watching From now, you know all of the incredible parallels that these two shows share. So Julie is making her way through Lost. I believe she's right around the end of season 3. So, awesome stuff, Julie. Awesome stuff. I look forward to you finishing Lost so we can finally talk some heavy spoilers about it. Because you got a wild ride in seasons 4, 5, and 6. I promise you that. We got Snuggy in the house. What is up, Snuggy? Good to see you as well, my friend. One of my partners in crime. We got Darren Boy in the house. What is up, Darren Boy? Hiya all. Throwing up the talisman. Yes, throw up those talismans. It is time. It is nighttime, at least here on the East Coast and here in the States. It is nighttime. You want to throw up those talismans. You don't want good old Smiley getting in like he got into the med clinic. We don't want any more repeats of that. No more repeats of that. We got Robert Saunders in the house. What is up, Robert Saunders? Good to see you as well, my friend. We got Soph in the house as well. What is up, Soph? Always good to see you as well, my friend. We got Mike in the building. What is up? Tinfoil hat firmly upon my head. Yes, my friend. That is what we like to see. That is what we like to see. This is the time, guys. Strap on that tinfoil hat. Dive into that rabbit hole. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Got Dr. Deb in the house as well. What is up, Dr. Deb? I see Will Smalls in the building as well. What is up, Will? Always good to see you. See SL Rhodes in the house. What is up, SL? Everybody's here this evening. Awesome, awesome. So good to see everybody. It is so good to see everybody. I think episode 3 will be a Tabitha-only episode. I think episode 4 will be where Jim and Kenny leave and when Julie and Ethan run away from the grandma monster and where Boyd is attacked by the monsters in the barn. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, I like it. I like your timeline. Oh, and I missed your episode 1 and 2. Okay, I think episode 2 is going to be where Kenny's mom dies. No! And Acosta shows up and tells Jim that Tabitha is alive. Oof, 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 oof. And I'm guessing episode 1 is about people dealing with food running out, and the episode ends with Jim getting the phone call that Tabitha got out. Oof, I like it. I like where your head is at, Daryl. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Yeah, when it comes to the Tabitha storyline, I'm very much wondering when they are going to show Tabitha. I get the feeling since they've already pretty much revealed in the trailers that she is indeed back in the real world. Seemingly, looks like she is indeed back in the real world. And more importantly, Camden, Maine, to be more specific. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see when exactly they showcase that. I was wondering when the promotional material came out, how much would the trailers showcase of Tabitha? Because, you know, just showing where she is, in a sense, is a big spoiler in and of itself, especially with the whole fandom kind of wondering, where did she end up? Is she back in the real world? Is she in some level 2 of Fromville place? So I was wondering if they were even going to show any Tabitha in any of the promos, just for fear of spoilers. But sure enough, they have shown at least enough to kind of point to the direction that she is in the real world. So yeah, I wonder when we are going to see her storyline kick off. It looks like season 3 is going to pick up directly where season 2 led off. No time jumps or anything like that. They're going to be picking up right where season 2 ends, which is a great format. I mean, that's how they kicked off season 2 as well. Season 2 kicked off right where season 1 ended. I'm just not a big fan of time jumps in between seasons. When you have a new season come around and all of a sudden there's a year time jump in between and you're kind of filling in the blanks throughout the whole season. Sometimes that can be a good form of storytelling. But I very much appreciate, especially a show like this where every day inside Fromville really counts. I'm really glad that the show is picking up right where season 2 left off. So I'm hoping we're going to see Tabitha right in that very first episode. I'm hoping we're going to see Tabitha right in the very first episode. I was a little bit worried at first because I was looking at the format for season 2. And if we all remember how season 1 ended, season 1 ends on a similar cliffhanger where we have no idea where Sarah ends up. Boyd and Sarah go into the Faraway tree as directed by the boy in white. We see that Boyd ends up in that shaft, but we don't know where Sarah ends up. We don't find that out at the end of season 1. And then season 2 comes around, and we don't get any Sarah scenes until episode 4. Sarah isn't in any of the first 3 episodes in season 2. So they really kind of left that answer dangling for a while before they answered where exactly Sarah ended up. So I was wondering, is there a chance they could do something similar with Tabitha's storyline where they don't even show us any Tabitha until episode 2 or 3 or even 4 like they do with Sarah? I hope not. And I think with Tabitha's storyline being a little bit more of a main storyline, we'll probably see her in episode 1. I'm thinking anyway. I think we're going to get some Tabitha right there in episode 1. Got Battlefield Boxing in the house. What is up, Battlefield? We got Nikki. Welcome. And welcome one, welcome all. If I missed anybody, I am terribly sorry. I try to catch as many as I can, but I welcome each and every one of you. I welcome each and every one of you. I do see Bill D down there as well. What is up, Bill D? I also see Mandy. What is up, Mandy? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I see Lieutenant Hughes is in the building as well. What is up, Lieutenant Hughes? Thank you so much for the member chat. A member for 19 months. Wow, my friend. Thank you so much for all of the support you've shown the channel. I can't thank you enough. Wow, haven't been around in forever, and you go and get 25K subs. Congrats, and keep the grind going. Hail to all. Keep moving ahead and keep heads up. Well, thank you so much for that, my friend. I very much appreciate you. You are a huge supporter of the channel very, very early on when we were first starting out. And it's awesome to see you pop in every once in a while, my friend. It's always good to see you. And thank you so much for continuing your membership. Awesome stuff, guys. Awesome stuff. Thank you, Lieutenant Hughes. LT. LT. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. I also see Summer Girl in the house. What is up, Summer Girl? Always good to see you as well. Welcome, welcome. I see Tyler B in the building as well. What is up, Tyler? Welcome, my friend. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, let's dive into some of this, shall we? Now, of course, main villains. I want to hear everybody's prediction, or if you have one, who do you think is going to be the main villain of the show? Have they already revealed who the main villain is going to be? Is there some other big bad just around the corner that the show has yet to reveal? Who do you guys think the main villain is going to be? Or could essentially the town and the forest, could Fromville itself be the main villain, the main antagonist, the main problem to solve? When you look at the show, the main problem that they are trying to solve is to escape Fromville. So in a sense, one could make the argument that the town itself is the main villain. And that's kind of where I'm leading right now. Until we actually see a big reveal for some other big antagonist, I'm starting to think that maybe just the town itself is the main antagonist. But we got one from here from Mike. The boy in white is 100% evil. They've showed us from early in season one, when Victor comes out and everyone is dead. The boy in white is spinning on the merry-go-round, smiling like one of the monsters. Check it out. He does look pretty chipper for someone who just witnessed a massacre, doesn't he? You're absolutely right about that. And I always wondered about that scene. Was that scene just because the boy in white is incredibly creepy and maybe he's a little bit evil, or was that scene the boy in white trying to calm Victor down and make it seem like he was just a normal kid, play on the merry-go-round, calling him over to it? It was very strange. Either way, though, yeah, very strange scene. Definitely not the kind of attitude you expect someone to have right after a town-wide massacre. So no, it's an interesting point, Mike. Interesting point, Mike. And yeah, a lot of people have made some interesting, have presented some interesting evidence that the boy in white could potentially maybe be a little more sinister than we originally thought. Yeah, I know that one of the big ones is, of course, where he sends Boyd. I mean, now it's up for debate as to what is going on with the faraway trees, if anyone can control where the faraway trees send people, or if it is just naturalized and random. But some people think, since the boy in white sent Sarah and Boyd into the faraway tree, and Boyd ends up in the exact place where he frees the entity, some people thought that might have been some evidence that the boy in white could potentially be a little more sinister. And I can understand that way of thinking. I can definitely understand that. But then again, he's done a lot of things that have helped the survivors at the same time as well. He saved Julie and Victor during the Colony House massacre. He seemingly set Tabitha free, although he did it in a very sus way by pushing her out of a window. But we hear him say it's the dialogue before he pushes her that's very interesting, though. I'm sorry, this is the only way. Almost like he really doesn't want to be doing this, and he kind of wants to fill Tabitha in, but he knows he has to kind of just do it and let whatever happens going to happen, whatever his plan is. But no, making a case for the boy in white being the main villain is definitely an interesting one. It is definitely an interesting one, for sure. For sure. Let's see what else we got. Let me scroll down here a little bit. Am I too late for the watch party? What episodes are you guys on? The watch parties happen on Sunday nights. And we've only just done one so far. We watched we're rewatching season 2 before season 3. We've watched episode 1 and 2 so far. This Sunday coming up, we will be watching episode 3 and 4. So yeah, everyone is more than welcome to come and join the watch parties. We do them directly in our Discord server, the Fromville Discord. So yeah, everybody is welcome. We're definitely be doing another one this Sunday, where we dive into episode 3 and 4. We're going to do around 2 episodes a week to catch up to season 3. And in the last week, we might need to watch 3 episodes. But yeah, we are catching up and doing our season 2 rewatch. So yeah, would love to have you. Love to have you. We got Tyler B. Red Squidward, or whatever name you want to use for it. Use for the evil red god on the Ghoul's Cave mural is the big bad. But there will be multiple other monsters besides him and the ghouls. Interesting. Interesting indeed. Now let's pull up that very cryptic and very interesting cave mural, shall we? Because I've often wondered about the red symbol that is next to the symbol that Jade has always been seeing. We see Jade symbol all over the place. It's in tons of episodes. They've made a point to really showcase Jade symbol. But the symbol next to it, as you mentioned, the red Squidward symbol, and I like that. It's definitely a little Squidwardy. We haven't seen anything regarding this symbol in the rest of the series, or at least not in the forefront. So I'm wondering what exactly is going on with that. Why are they showcasing this symbol so heavily, yet we haven't seen this one another time since? And some people, like Tyler here, have theorized that maybe this symbol could be a symbol for the big bad, whatever the main villain is, which is totally possible. I could definitely see that being the case. And if it is, what exactly is it a representation of? Is it something we've seen in the show already that hasn't revealed itself as being a villain? Or is it a brand new villain that we just haven't seen at all? And according to Tyler, yes, it will be a new villain, but there'll also be some other monsters besides him and the ghouls. Yeah, I do think there's going to be tons of other stuff that we're going to see throughout the course of this series. We do get a little bit of evidence and a little bit of foreshadowing of that from Martin, stating that the monsters are just the tip of the spear. We also get a little bit of foreshadowing from that, from what seems to be the dead spirit of Boyd's wife, Abby, when she communicates to Sarah at the end of season 1, saying there are worse things out here in the forest than the monsters. So we have gotten multiple kind of hints that there are some other things out there that we just have yet to see. Nightmares beyond our imagination, according to nightmares we were never even meant to see, according to Martin. So yeah, I definitely think we are going to see a lot more other things out there. I think there will be some other things revealed. We saw the entity was revealed in season 2 to add to the chaos of the monsters. And I think we'll see some other reveals like that. And I'm hoping we get a new reveal each season. Like maybe each season reveals a new horror that this forest throws at the townsfolk. But yeah, interesting stuff, Tyler. Maybe this Squidward thing could be a representation of the big bad. Maybe. Maybe indeed. Because they pushed Tabitha leaving the real world to an earlier date, I think we want to. I think we want to get too much Tabitha. I think we won't get too much Tabitha this season. Excuse me. Maybe only in episodes 3, 6, and 9. I could be very wrong. No, and it's definitely a question I've asked myself as well. How much Tabitha screen time are we going to get? Her storyline, of course, is, it's centered now in the real world. We're not 100% sure where it's going to be going, but I think we have a general idea that she will obviously be trying to find her way back into Fromville to rescue her family. So if that is the case, I could definitely see them limiting her screen time in a sense, where maybe it depends on how fast they want Tabitha's storyline to go. Do the writers want Tabitha back in the town by the end of this season, or is Tabitha going to have a little bit of a longer journey ahead of her, where she doesn't make it back into the town until maybe even a later season? I guess that's the question, where they're going with her storyline and how fast they want it to evolve. But potentially, yeah, I could definitely see a possibility of her not having a crazy amount of screen time, just due to the fact that her storyline might be progressing a little slower than maybe the main town. Certainly possible. I don't know if we'll only see her in 3 episodes. I think we'll see her in more than just 3 episodes. We got 10 episodes in season 2 as a whole. I do think we'll at least see her in most of them, but her screen time could be limited in a few of the episodes. But I do think we'll see her in more than 3. But who knows? Maybe you're right. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Let's see what else we got. Scrolling down. Oh, this thing always jumps on me. God dang it. This thing always jumps on me. In my opinion, Tabitha won't come back till the finale. Oh, okay. But Acosta will tell everyone that she got out. I might just be putting something together on my theory. Going to try. Awesome. I love it. I love it. Hell yes, Julie, throw it together, my friend. You've been coming up with some awesome ideas for Fromville lately, and the detective work that you and Taryn did on Acosta and her connections to Camden, Maine were very impressive. The Knox County, for those who don't know, anyone who has seen the newest trailer, when we see the new ambulance that is arriving in town, if you look closely, there is one shot you can see the ambulance is from Knox County. And there are a few different Knox counties in the U.S., but one of the Knox counties just happens to be in Camden, Maine, of all places. And they also even got a decent shot of the patch on her arm, the insignia for whatever police department she's from, and it looks awful similar to the Camden, Maine Police Department. So there's some interesting connections there. I mean, I know a lot of us, the Camden, Maine thing has been a theory from the end of season 2, ever since we saw that view out of the hospital window. We had a lot of people, searching Google Images and kind of really trying to pinpoint where that was from. And Camden, Maine seemed to be the most popular answer. But you and Taryn, Julie, just took it a step further and really found even more evidence connecting that. So bravo. I mean, hats off to you guys. Again, that was some Batman level detective stuff that you guys did. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And we got Robert Saunders gifting 5 memberships. What is up, Robert Saunders? Thank you so much for the gift of the 5 memberships. Wow. Michael Dice is now a member, and Robert Saunders himself is now a member. I don't think I've ever seen that. Wow. I don't think I've ever seen that, where someone gifting memberships ends up receiving one of the gifted memberships. That might be the first time I've ever seen that. And you are well deserving indeed, Robert Saunders. Thank you, man, and welcome. Wow. Starlight CC is also now a member. Darren Boy is now a member, and Michael Williams is also now a member. Welcome one, welcome all. So glad to have each and every one of you here. And thank you so much, Robert, for the gifted memberships. And I see the chat. You guys are calling for the woe, so you will get the woe. Whoa! Indeed. Thank you so much, Robert, for the gift of the 5 memberships. Very much appreciate it. Very much appreciate it. But yeah, as far as that goes, I am looking forward to seeing when Tabitha makes it back into the town. I'm kind of torn. Part of me thinks maybe she'll make it back into the town by the end of season 3. But another part of me wouldn't be too surprised if they drag it out a little bit longer, if maybe she doesn't make it into Fromville at all until season 4. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that. How fast are they going to advance Tabitha's storyline, and when will she make it back into the town? Or will she even make it back into the town? I know a lot of us are pretty much assuming that she will make it back at some point, but what if she doesn't? What if she never makes it back? That could be an interesting twist. That could be an interesting twist. The cowboy. Could the cowboy be the main villain? It looks like the cowboy is emerging as one of the main monsters at the very least. And here we got our good old cowboy friend. Yeah, I like the cowboy monster. I mean, Smiley will always be my favorite, I think, just because of how creepy he was and just this unsettling feeling that every scene that Smiley was in. I'm really going to miss him. But I do like this cowboy monster. I feel like he's got some bravado. He's got some swag to him. And I think he's going to be a very interesting addition when this cowboy monster kind of comes to the forefront. Seems like he's coming to the forefront at least. We has some interesting dialogue in season 3. And we know not a whole lot of monsters get dialogue like that. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to throw at us with the good old cowboy. What is the cowboy going to throw at us? I like it. I like it. We got the Stellar in the house. What is up, the Stellar? Good to see you as well. And Randall. Could Randall turn himself? Yeah, who knows? Maybe Randall won't go. I mean, I feel like there's two paths for Randall in front of him. On one side, he's got a redemption arc, a way that he can really redeem himself and turn into a very valuable member of the town, a reliable member of the town. But then you have the other path, of course, where it's just more of the same, where Randall continues his descent into madness more and more. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with Randall's character. Will he step up in some way and earn some kind of redemption, or is redemption not possible for Randall? I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with him. Uh-oh, Snuggy has it, and I know a lot of the chat will be agreeing with this. Jim is the main villain. He's history's greatest monster. Oof. Oof. Yeah, man, poor Jim, man. Poor Jim. I am still holding on to hope that Jim is going to do something very heroic and probably end up sacrificing himself for his family. I think that's where Jim's story is ultimately going. But yeah, Jim does not have a lot of fans in these chats. That is true. So yeah, maybe Jim will be the main villain. Maybe Jim will be the main villain. Dr. Deb says, I agree, the red globby dude is likely the big bad, but we will meet others along the way. Okay, awesome. Awesome. Yeah, and it could be. Very well could be. And I do think we're going to meet some others. And whatever the representation of this big red symbol is, I'm looking forward to meeting it. I am looking forward to meeting it. I think the boy in white isn't evil. I think he is trying to achieve a goal which isn't evil. I think he is using the people of Fromville to get what he wants, such as pushing Tabitha out the window. And that was kind of my take on it as well. It's similar. Whereas I don't really see the boy in white as necessarily evil or necessarily good. I get the feeling that he could potentially just have his own agenda. And he needs to, like you said, use the members of the town in certain times to achieve that end, maybe do some nefarious things at some times to achieve that end, and do some good things at times to achieve that end. But I don't look at the boy in white as just outright good versus evil. I mean, when you look at him, obviously he's dressed all in white. It very much kind of invokes the imagery of Lost, between the light and dark, that Lost kind of gets into a little bit later on. I'm trying not to spoil exactly what happens, because I know Julie and a few others are currently watching Lost. But in terms of him potentially being the representation of a light side because he is dressed all in white. So I do get that kind of imagery, and that's certainly a possibility as well. But yeah, when I look at the boy in white, I don't really see him as, again, necessarily evil or necessarily good. I think he kind of just has his own plan. And will the end game of his plan benefit the town? Maybe. I think it might. Or will it be the opposite way? But no, that's I'm of a similar mind, Daryl. I am of a similar mind. Welcome. Everything the boy in white has done has a negative impact on the town, except him helping Victor and Julie. And there have been some interesting effects. And I feel like that's why a lot of people have thought the boy in white might be a little more nefarious, because when you take a closer look at some of the outcomes of some of his decisions, yeah, it's a little bit dicey. Again, like sending Boyd right to where he gets the worms and things like that. So I can understand people's way of thinking in that regard. I can understand both sides. At this point, boy in white probably isn't phased. A massacre has probably taken place many times at that point, and maybe that's it. Maybe he's just so desensitized to death and to dismemberment that it's just no big thing to him. That's possible. That is possible as well. Boy in white is like the Vorlons in Babylon 5, if you know what I mean. I don't know what you mean personally. I've still not seen Babylon 5. I know I keep promising to watch it, and I will at some point. But yeah, I have not seen Babylon 5 yet. But I'm sure there are people that definitely understand the reference. Glue, Guns, and Roses, welcome. I see the monsters, forest, nightmare visions, and the town as being one big bad evil, the same evil with different faces or forms. Now, that's actually a very interesting way of looking at it. And I mean, I kind of look at just the town itself being the big bad, but that's a very interesting way. Like all of it, everything that encompasses is Fromville, it's all just one big bad evil. That's a very interesting way of thinking of it. And I actually kind of like that, where, yeah, you got all of of these different faces of this same evil of them throwing all these things at the townsfolk, the monsters, the entities, the forest, all of it. So no, I like that. I very much like that actually. That that we have all of these different faces of this bigger overall evil. I like that. I like that a lot. That's a good one. That is a good one. There's at least two forces at odds here. The residents are players on a chessboard. The boy in white is one of those faces or represents it. Ooh, interesting. Interesting. And yeah, and I mean, and I think that's where some of the symbols come into play here, where some people have looked at these two symbols as similar to what you mentioned, Michael, where there are these kind of two main entities in the background playing this kind of cosmic chess game. And everyone inside Fromville, the monsters, the townsfolk, they're all just chess pieces on the board. And we've seen all of the crazy, insane amount of references to the game chess within the show itself. Almost like there is, again, one giant chess game being played in the background that we're not quite privy to yet. And maybe there are these two opposing forces that are setting the board and playing the pieces. And that could be possible. That could very well be possible that there's maybe two opposing forces. Maybe the boy in white is serving one of these forces, and maybe we'll meet something else at some point that is serving the other side of the force. But no, I like that. That's interesting that there's some kind of bigger game being played in the background between two higher forms of consciousness, two higher deities, maybe. Interesting stuff. The boy in white trapped them all there. He's a witch, says Christine Jellybean. Interesting. We were talking a little bit about this in the Discord. So I believe it was Sunday night, actually, just this previous Sunday when we were doing our watch party. We were talking a little bit about the circumstances that have brought everyone to Fromville. And Father Cautry in particular kind of came up, where we hear Father Cautry's story about how he got stuck here in Fromville. He tells that horrific story about what happened with the young boy at his, in his congregation, and how he was savagely, tragically killed by his own father. And Cautry feels a ton of guilt because of this, because this boy came to him ahead of time looking for help, and all Father Cautry did was give him a candy bar and send him on his way. So Father Cautry felt a lot of guilt, again, over what happened to that boy, so much to the point where it drove him to almost commit suicide, where he's standing on the top of a bridge, and before he's getting ready to jump, he all of a sudden hears this voice that he thinks, of course, is the voice of God, telling him to get back in the car and to start driving. And then 2 hours later, boom, he ends up here in Fromville. Now, obviously, what was this voice that beckoned Father Cautry back into his car and that led him into Fromville? Was it really God? I don't think so. I mean, we have seen some instances or some evidence that there are some that the boy in white in particular can maybe reach into the real world. We know that Elgin, excuse me, also had a similar vision from the boy in white just as he was entering the town. Now, it's hard to tell exactly when Elgin started receiving that vision. Was he already in the town? Was he in the real world? But Elgin knew something profound upon entering this town. So some people have surmised that maybe it was the boy in white that kind of reached out to Father Cautry and lured him here into Fromville, which could be the case. I mean, it's really hard to tell. Whatever is in charge of Fromville, whatever kind of entity, spirit, deity, whatever you want to call it, it does seem like the town, at the very least, has some sort of sentience. It's alive in a sense. And if that is the case, something is clearly reaching to the outside world and trapping people here in Fromville. And even in season 1, we hear them kind of theorize that all of us were brought here for a reason, that it wasn't random. And I think a lot of us think similar as well, where I don't think it's too random that, you look at some of the characters that are being stuck here and some of their connections to some of the other characters, like Christie's fiance just miraculously shows up here in Fromville. What are the odds of that? So it does seem like something or someone is deliberately bringing people here specifically to fill specific roles even. And you look at a lot of people that get stuck here, it's kind of like they almost have all of the pieces they need to fill a small but functioning town. a doctor, a sheriff, a bar. You got every freaking town needs a bar at the end of the day. A diner. It seems like they have a little bit of everything there. Their diner, their bar, their police station, all of it. Everything they need for, again, a very small but functioning town to live. So you start to wonder who is bringing people here, and are they bringing specific people here to fill specific roles? And that could be the case. And if that is the case, who's bringing them here is the question. Is the boy in white, is he physically able to reach into the outside world and lure people into Fromville? Or is the town itself, because again, it does seem like the town and the forest itself does have some sort of sentience, is whatever that power is, could that be what is pulling people here into Fromville? I tend to think it's that. I'm not sure I don't think it's the boy in white per se that is bringing people into the town, although I really like that theory. It's an interesting theory and it could be possible. I tend to think that the town itself, because it does seem, again, like the town itself is alive. This forest is alive. It has some sort of sentience. So I do think that is what is trapping and luring people into the town. But I like the theory about the boy in white, though. Again, it is an interesting theory to kind of think about this boy in white and what side he's ultimately on, because there's been a lot of evidence to point to both sides, for sure. For sure. Let's see what else we got. Let's see what else we got. Uh-oh, according to the Discord, Cowboy Monster is now called Woody. Not as catchy as Smiley, in my humble opinion. Okay, so we are dubbing him Woody, apparently. Woody the Monster. Yeah, okay. Hey, if that's what you guys want to call him, I'm okay with it. I am okay with it. You guys took to Fromville well enough, so I can't complain. You guys liked my saying. So yeah, Woody. Okay, Woody it is. I'm okay with that. Woody the Monster. Woody the Monster. I agree. Tabitha will be on Journey outside of from most of season 3, and I definitely tend to think that's the case as well. Like it's hard. Again, when will she return to the town? Will it be in season 3 or will it be in a later season? I think if she does return in season 3, it won't be until the very end. Maybe the finale. Maybe one of the final 2 episodes, Tabitha will eventually make her way back into the town. But to have her arrive back into Fromville any sooner than that, it just feels a little anticlimactic. Like, again, her getting stuck out into the real world, you definitely get the sense that she does have a little bit of a journey ahead of her before she ends up back in the town. I don't think it's going to be a quick return by any means. And if it is a quick return, it just seems like not a waste, but, why send her out only to have her return 2-3 episodes later, kind of thing. So I do think she is going to be on the outside in the real world for a long time. Again, could be the whole duration of season 3, and maybe she returns at the very end of season 3, or maybe they'll kind of continue it right into season 4, where Tabitha won't even make it back into the town in season 3 at all. I could see them playing it either way, but I definitely don't think it's going to be too soon. Like if she returns into the town within the first half of season 3, I'll be super surprised. Super surprised. Let's see what else we got. They should make Jim disappear out the blue with no explanation like they did Lenore in House of the Dragon. Yeah, Jim does not have a lot of fans. Jim does not have a lot of fans. Well, we got one fan. Susan is, oh my God, Jim is my favorite. He is the bestest guy in the show. Okay, so not everybody hates Jim. Okay, not everybody hates Jim. That's good. That is good. What is up, Fromily? Good to see you as well. Good to see everybody this night. Awesome to see everybody here hanging out. So glad to see you guys. And we are talking main villains of From Season 3 and beyond. Who will be the main antagonist of this show? The big bad, as it is commonly referred to. Will it be the boy in white? Will there be some other monstrosity that has yet to be revealed that will be the main villain? Or will the town and the forest itself, will Fromville itself be the main villain? Again, I tend to think it's going to be this town that is the main obstacle, the main problem to solve. But if there is a main villain that is physical and corporeal, I want to meet it. I want to see what it is. That symbol is blood. The boy in white is the avatar for Fromland. And he does have a little bit of an avatar feeling to him, right? Like the way he kind of just pops up in random places, it almost seems like the boy in white, like that boy form, is some kind of avatar. Because again, he doesn't age. We know he's much older than a boy. Even Sarah says, I don't think he's really a boy. And us having the audience point of view, we know that he is at least 40, 50 years old, at least that old, maybe even older, because we see he appears to Victor as this same boy when Victor was a child back in 1978, right after the massacre happens. So at the very least, the boy in white is 40, 50 years old, maybe even much older. So yeah, maybe he is some kind of avatar for the town itself or for some other being, maybe. I like that. That's interesting. Maybe the boy in white is just an avatar of the town, because again, we do know that the town itself is sentient, for lack of better terms. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. We got Luna Cascade for $10. Thank you so much, Luna, for the $10. Wow, very much appreciate that. Thank you. What specific role do you think the trees or forest play? Why are the trees moving? P.S. I like Jim. Yes, we got somebody else that likes Jim. Yes, Luna. Hell yes, my friend. I like it. I like it. See, all right, Jim. There's some hope for Jim yet. You know, we haven't all turned against you yet, Jim. You got some fans here. You got some fans here. But yeah, when it comes to what specific role the trees or the forest play, when it comes to the forest as a whole, again, I really do think the forest itself is the main villain. It is the main obstacle that the townsfolk are ultimately going to have to overcome. How do they escape this forest, this town? And especially that we know, again, it is alive, for lack of a better term. But in terms of the trees have been one of the most interesting mysteries on this show, and not just the faraway trees, but like you mentioned, the trees that move, essentially. Why is Victor so curious about these trees very early on? The very first time we see Victor, or one of the first times we see Victor, he's behind Colony House measuring the distance from the house to the tree line. And he's, according to him, it's already moved a few inches. So what exactly is up with Victor's obsession and his fascination with these trees? And what does the trees moving signify? What is that meant to represent, really? I'm still not sure, to be honest, Luna. Like, when I think about these trees, it puzzles me. I really am wondering what kind of role these trees are going to play. And the faraway trees in and of themselves are another huge freaking mystery. How do these things operate? Are they just random destinations that spit people out randomly every time? Or do they just appear random and there is some way to kind of manipulate where you go? Because we see at the end of season 2, Victor seemed very confident that that one specific tree with the bottles in it, the bottle faraway tree, he was very convinced that that one would specifically take people to the tower. Now, I guess the question is, will that bottle tree take people to the tower every single time? Is that a set destination for that tree? And are the bottles in the tree play some kind of role in that? Because we look at all of the other faraway trees, they all seem to be random, but all of the other ones don't have bottles in it. The bottle faraway tree that Tabitha goes in at the end of season 2, that's the only faraway tree that we've seen that's had bottles in it. We've seen other trees that have bottles in them, but the first one that Boyd and Sarah come up against at the end of season 1, the first time we see the bottle tree, that's just a bottle tree. That's not a faraway tree. That's just a regular tree with bottles in it. This is the first faraway tree that we've seen with bottles in it. So are the bottles, do they in some way, shape, or form direct where that faraway tree sends people? Again, I don't know. But these are definitely some of the bigger mysteries when it comes to From season 2 and the faraway trees in general. We just have no idea how these things operate. Again, it appears random. It very much appears random. And we brought this up over on Tony's the other night, and I thought it was very interesting. Because one thing that I kind of tend to forget about, because it happened so early on in season 1, Victor takes young Ethan to show him his first faraway tree for the first time. And he writes the smiley face on the rock. He drops the rock into the faraway tree, And it's almost like Victor knows it's going to land right in front of them. He even kind of grabs Ethan and has him take a step back so the rock doesn't land on them. So if the faraway trees are always random, how did Victor know that the rock was going to land there? Or was it one of these things where Victor was just hoping it was going to land there and that it doesn't work every time? I do believe he might have mentioned it doesn't work every time. But I thought that was very interesting how he drops the rock and it kind of falls right where he thought it would fall. Maybe it was just a blind 1 in 100 chance. Or is there some kind of difference between putting an object in a faraway tree and an actual person going into a faraway tree? Is there a difference between the two? I don't know. Like, do the trees only work for humans? Like, if you try to put an object in the faraway tree, does it essentially just spit it back out the way it spit back out the rock, the way the rock just kind of landed right in front of it? Maybe these things are only supposed to be human travel. I don't know. But yeah, it's still one of the hugest mysteries on the show, and I'm dying to kind of learn a little bit more about these trees. So love to hear everybody's thoughts on them in the chat. What do you guys think about the faraway trees and about the trees in general? Again, we see Victor clearly measuring the trees early on. Love to hear some theories, what you guys think about the trees. What do you think about the trees? What about Sarah saying people that die have their nightmares in the forest, like Nathan cicadas? And that was a very interesting line, and that kind of kicks open a whole world of possibilities as to what could potentially be out here in this forest. If people's fears do physically get manifested in this forest, then yeah, who the hell knows what we could run into out here? And I start to think that maybe Sarah was right. Maybe it doesn't even have to be when people die. Maybe the forest can just pull fears into existence, into the physical realm. Because if we look at the end of season 1, when Sarah and Boyd are walking through the forest, Boyd stumbles upon that very big spider's web, and he gets closer and he sees his wife. It's his wife wrapped up in a big spider web. And I imagine, could that have been one of Boyd's fears being manifested in the forest? I have to imagine Boyd has a ton of fear and guilt regarding his wife after everything that happened. So I always, after we hear that reveal, the reveal that you just mentioned about Sarah and her brother Nathan being afraid of the cicadas, and then boom, the cicadas pop up, I start to wonder what other fears could have possibly been manifested into this forest in the past. And that Boyd scene always kind of came to mind for me first and foremost, where he runs into his wife, the wife grabs his arm, and that's how the spiders get on him. So yeah, I definitely think there is something to the whole your fears can physically be drawn out of you and manifested in this place. I definitely think there is to that. Let's see what else we got. Yes, it would be a huge anticlimactic. It would be anticlimactic and a huge letdown if Tabby makes it back fast. All that buildup with her escape. She needs to meet Eloise or find useful info related to her, and that's kind of what I'm thinking as well. Whether or not she actually meets an alive Eloise, or whether or not she kind of just gets on Eloise's trail. It seems like the Tabitha was sent to this real world to potentially bring something or maybe even someone back. The boy in white says, "I'm sorry, this is the only way," but he doesn't really give her any information as to what she's supposed to do when she gets there. But I do get the feeling that maybe he sent her there to bring something back or to bring someone back, maybe. And maybe it has to do with Eloise. I have a feeling it might have to do with Eloise. Let's see what else we got. I thought the trees were for containment of the big bad or evil. Ooh, interesting. Well, when it comes to the bottles in the trees, that could certainly be the case. Now, and even in real world lore, in some mythologies and in some cultures, putting up glass bottles in trees like this is meant to trap evil spirits. That is a real thing. That is a real thing that real cultures do all around the world still to this day. It's a way of warding off or trapping evil spirits. And some people think that that's where the entity really came from at season 2. A lot of us think that at least the show presents it as Boyd getting those worms in his arm and bringing those worms back into town. That is what released this entity that was wreaking havoc on the town at the end of season 2. But some people seem to think that maybe when Boyd opened that bottle at the end of season 1, the bottle with the piece of paper in it, piece of paper in it that read 1864, which of course is coincidentally the same year that the Civil War was going on. And we've seen tons of ties to the Civil War from this show, from Jade's visions to Victor and Eloise's drawings. The Civil War is definitely playing some kind of role in this show. So yeah, some people think that maybe when Boyd opened that bottle, it released an evil spirit or an evil entity, and that's really where the entity came, and the worms were just a misdirect. I don't know. I like both theories. I think it's an interesting theory, but yeah, who knows? Maybe the trees are meant to contain some sort of evil. Maybe. Maybe. There's even an illusion of a boogeyman surrounded by trees. Ooh, interesting. Interesting. I think Sarah is speaking a lot of truth, but some of the voices lie to her. And yeah, I think you're 100% right, Bob. I think that's definitely the case. I think there seems to be more than one voice, reaching out to Sarah, because at the end of season 1, if we remember, when it appears to be Abby, Boyd's wife, reaching out to Sarah, Sarah describes it as it was different this time. This time it was a female voice, indicating that most of the messages she receives come from male voices. So there are definitely multiple voices that are trying to reach out and communicate with Sarah. And yes, I think some of them might be good, and I think some of them might be not telling her the truth and trying to manipulate her. I mean, we saw what some of these voices manipulated her to do in season 1 in terms of killing people, almost killing Ethan. So I definitely think you're right. I think there are multiple voices out there that are trying to contact Sarah. Some are trying to use her for good. Some are maybe trying to use her for a little bit more nefarious means. I like that. I do believe that as well. Yeah, spirits of the dead. Our spirits of the dead are trapped there. So Abby really was speaking when she said to tell Boyd she was wrong. And yeah, you make a good point. You do make a good point. And that's one of the first things she says to Boyd. Tell Boyd I was wrong. There's worse things out here than the monsters. And the second Abby says I was wrong, I always wondered, does that mean she was wrong about her theory? Because again, Abby goes crazy because she thought she got it in her head for some reason that people needed to die in Fromville in order to wake up in the real world. That's what she thought. That's what drove her mad. And her saying, I was wrong to Sarah in that scene, I start to think, is that what she's referring to? Because was she potentially saying, I was wrong. Dying here doesn't bring you home, maybe. But no, great point, though. Very good points, guys. Victor has experimented with the faraway trees. He showed Ethan the rock thing. That rock dropped right there, and Ethan knew it would. Yeah, again, it does seem like, I mean, Victor's been here for a very long time, too. So if anyone has had the chance or the opportunity to investigate and experiment with some of these faraway trees, it would be Ethan. Especially when we look now, obviously we have dissected the heck out of this peach truck map, but we were looking at it again the other night in the Discord. And I remember back in the day, we were trying to wonder what some of these purple lines were representing. And some of us thought that these could be maybe Victor's attempt at mapping some of the faraway tree destinations. Because when you look at a lot of these purple lines, just about all of them are directional from one set of trees to another set of trees, one tree to another destination, one tree to another destination, one tree to another tree, one tree to another destination. So I start to wonder, are these purple lines potentially Victor's attempt at mapping out some of these faraway trees to see where some go, to find out, is it really random, or is there some kind of system to this thing that we can figure out? Yeah, I don't know. The faraway trees are still a massive, massive question as to, is it truly really random, or is there a little bit more to it? Is there some kind of system that can be sussed out here? Let's see what else we got. BK says, oh, Facebook says, the hate on Jim is so forced. He is my favorite character in the show. Y'all hate him because he doesn't like Victor. Guess what? All of you would do the same thing if you were in his shoes. Yeah, again, I don't hate Jim. I definitely don't hate Jim. It does seem like Jim is one of the more less liked characters on the show. But I don't hate Jim by any means. Again, I do think Jim is ultimately heading for some kind of grand sacrifice. I think that's how Jim's storyline ultimately ends. Probably won't be for a while, but I do think Jim's story will ultimately end with him sacrificing himself to save his family. I do think that's where his storyline is specifically going. But no, I like Jim. I haven't lost hope on Jim yet. Evelyn Martins asks, yeah, question is, are they really trees? That's a good point. Like, are these things really even trees? Yes, they appear as trees, but we see that they send people from one direction into a whole other direction. What are they really, and how did they come to be? Like, what made these trees so special? What gave them the ability to send people from one place to another? I don't know. I don't know. Or like you said, are they even trees at all? Or are they some kind of teleportation device disguised as trees? I suppose you could make that argument. I suppose you could definitely make that argument, as there's still just so much we don't know about them. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. And oh, while I remember it, before I forget, I did also want to bring this up as well. Harold Perrineau actually recently tweeted this out, and it looks like from our little show that could, it looks like From continues to climb further and further up the streaming charts. It recently passed shows like House of the Dragon and The Bear. So that is so awesome. It definitely seems like this fandom is continuing to grow. And as season 3 gets a little bit closer, it seems like so many people are finally finding this show. And that's great. I really like that the fandom is growing. More people watching the show is great in my opinion. But it looks like the streaming charts are is continuing to climb up the streaming charts, which is great. It's the little show that could is turning into a full-on contender, and super pumped to see that. Super pumped to see that. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. The trees move like the entrance to From, and only move when the seasons change. Maybe that's why Fromlanders are caught off guard at night in the trailer. Maybe real world rules of day/night change. Ooh, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah, because when we see in the trailer, we see tons of people outside at night. We see Kenny's mother is outside at night. Randall's outside at night. There's a bunch of characters out there just at night. And what exactly does that mean? Does night kind of come around a lot quicker? I know a lot of us have talked about the eclipse possibility that could be coming around. I know Taryn has an interesting eclipse theory as well. Could something like that maybe happen, and it catches them off guard, and all of a sudden it goes from day to night? That's certainly a possibility. That is certainly a possibility. Ooh, I like this. Victor is related to the Matthews. Ooh, interesting. Interesting. All of the creativity in this show, can we come to a consensus that the original nursery rhyme they used was a terrible song or melody? It made no sense and still doesn't. I don't think it's beaten yet. Yeah. It's they touch, they break, they steal. No one here is free. Here they come for 3 unless you stop the melody. It is a little bit of a weird nursery rhyme, for sure. A little bit of a weird nursery rhyme. That is true. The trees move in relation to something center in the middle. Ooh, interesting. Like some kind of heart of Fromville that's really controlling everything, and they move according to that. That's interesting. And that would be very Lost-esque as well, considering the island. Yeah, maybe. What about Sarah saying the people that die have their nightmares in the forest, like Nathan Skadas? Yeah, again, I do really like that. I think there is a lot of evidence that does point to people's fears being physically manifested in this forest, either when they die or maybe even when they're still alive. Again, in the case of Boyd finding his wife wrapped up in a spider web at the end of season 1. So yeah, I think there is something to people's fears physically being manifested. I definitely think we're seeing a little bit of that. From is beating House of the Dragon. It is Justin White, and honestly, I think it is a little bit well-deserved. I mean, season 2 of House of the Dragon started off phenomenally, and it ended on a little bit more of an anticlimactic note. But then again, once shows are off air for a while, they do tend to fall down in the rankings. When House of the Dragon was active, it was at the top of all of the charts. But now that it's been off for a while, yeah, you're going to see it continue to fall farther and farther down on the list. and it looks like we are seeing From rise up more and more. So that's great. That is great. Let's see what else we got. Can't wait for season 3. Hope we get some good stuff, says Jay Reddy. I do too. I do too as well. And honestly, I'm actually very excited for season 3. So not solely because what we're hearing from the creators. I'm excited for season 3 for many reasons, but one of them specifically is what the creators and writers have been saying in some of their interviews leading up to season 3. We have heard from creator John Griffin himself, who is the head writer and the creator of the show. He's the one who thought this whole thing up. And he has said that in season 3, the tantalizing and real possibility of escape will be a factor for the survivors in the town. And he also states that the true nature of the town will come into focus as the survivors face a myriad of new threats surrounding them. So it does look like season 3 is going to be bringing it on multiple fronts. But that one line, the true nature of the town comes into focus, has been the most intriguing for me. Like, I want to learn more about this town. How does this town operate? What is the true natural order of this town? And I always go back, when I think about the true nature of Fromville, I always think of the conversation between the dead bartender Tom when he returns and talks to Jade, where Jade is at a point where he's trying to figure out this symbol. He's very distraught. He feels like giving up. And he says, nothing in this place makes sense. And Tom, the bartender, hits him with some freaking knowledge and says, no, nothing in this place is familiar. And there is a huge difference between things not making sense and things not being familiar. Now, just because we don't know the natural order of how things work here in Fromville doesn't mean there isn't a natural order to things. We just don't know how it works. So it's all a matter of perception at the end of the day. And I think that's part of the lesson that Tom was trying to impart onto Jade. This place might appear random and chaotic, but that's just because we don't know the natural order of this place. Once you know the natural order of something, you can predict its movements much more accurately. So I always love that conversation between Tom and Jade, and I do think we as the audience are going down a similar path and trajectory as well, where we're trying to figure out what exactly is the natural order of this place as well, just like the characters are. And that's what's fun about From. It doesn't have any source material. There are no answers that fans can kind of go and read and get all the answers to. We are going along for this mystery the same time that the characters are. Yes, being that we are the audience, we have a certain point of view that the characters don't get, obviously, naturally. But at the end of the day, we are solving these mysteries with the town as they are solving them along the way. And that's what's so fun about the show. It's us kind of collectively trying to solve these mysteries together, both the fans and the actual characters. And it just adds an extra layer of mystery and intrigue to the show, at least for me anyway. I love how we're all kind of figuring this stuff out as we go along, characters and fans alike. Let's see what else we got. I've never believed that any of the faraway trees are random. The source of that info is the boy in white who told Victor, and I don't take the boy in white's word for it, even the lighthouse one. Yeah, again, I know they certainly appear random at first, but I wouldn't be too surprised if there is some kind of method to the madness when it comes to the faraway trees. That maybe there is some kind of system to suss out, or maybe there is some kind of circumstance that makes a tree take you to a certain specific location, like the case of the bottle faraway tree. I don't know if the bottles being in that tree has anything to do with that one specifically taking people to the lighthouse. Or is there something else out there? Is the town itself, we know this town has some kind of consciousness. Does that decide where people go? Do the trees send people where they need to go? This conversation popped up on the stream the other day on Tony's as well, where maybe it's a possibility where someone is picking and choosing where these destinations let off, where these trees are sending people to where they need to go. And that's a very interesting thought in and of itself as well, and very well could be possible. But yeah, there's just so much about these trees that we don't know. Is it random? Is there some kind of method to it? Who's deciding who goes where? Because we have seen instances of two people going into the same tree and ending up in two totally different locations. Like you mentioned with Julie and Victor, right after the Colony House massacre, they both go into the same faraway tree, but they end up in two totally different spots. Julie ends up in the root cellar where Jade has his first vision, and Victor ends up somewhere where where the boy in white tells him to wait for Tabitha underneath the caves. And then again, at the end of season 1, we see Boyd and Sarah go into the same tree, and they both get spit out into two totally different locations. Boyd in the shaft, Sarah back in Father Cautry's basement. So yeah, it's they appear random at first, but I wouldn't be surprised if there is some sort of method to the madness with these faraway trees where maybe they're not quite as random as they originally appear. Could be. Could be. Let's see what else we got. Let's see what else we got. Let me scroll down a little bit. Do you think Thomas, the Matthews deceased son, plays a significant role in the show? He's mentioned quite frequently. I definitely think he's going to play some sort of role. Yes, I don't know how major it will be, but I have a feeling they set that up for more than just character development and to tell the story of the Matthews family. Now, of course, we find out very early on that the Matthews family had a third child, a son named Thomas, and this son tragically died. We're led to believe that the son died by falling off of the table when they were changing the diaper. Both Jim and Tabitha just happened to both look away right at the wrong time, and in a split second, the baby rolled over and fell off the table and tragically died. And it's such a tragic event in and of itself. Seeing a parent lose a child in any way due to anything, that in and of itself kind of just goes against the natural order of things. Parents are not supposed to bury their children. That's just not the natural order of how things usually go. So you could totally see how something like that could devastate their marriage, and it looks like it did go on to do that, where season 1, episode 1 starts off with the Matthews family going on a vacation. But when we learn a little bit more, we start to find out that they're really just going on one last hurrah before Jim and Tabitha break it to the children that they're actually getting a divorce. So although they appear like just this chipper family on vacation at first, we start to learn there are some problems underneath the surface. And then, as you mentioned, we learn why. Because this tragic death of this poor child, this poor baby. So I've always wondered, was that purely just character development for the Matthews family? Was that purely thrown in there just to give the Matthews family some kind of backstory? Or will Thomas's storyline come back into play at some point in time? And again, I get the feeling the Thomas storyline will come back into play in some capacity. Will it be major? I don't know how major it will be, or if it'll be just some kind of small thing. But I'll be surprised if we don't see something else with that. And a lot of people have suspected how Thomas really died. There's one very sinister fan theory out there that says Ethan pushed the kid off the table, which is such a sinister, dark fan theory. That Ethan killed his brother. I mean, I don't think that's the case by any means. I just always thought that was a crazy theory, but it's kind of nuts when you think about it. But yeah, I don't know. Could be 50-50 at this point, but part of me thinks we'll hear a little bit more about the whole Thomas situation. Because yeah, or then again, who knows? Maybe it was put in there solely for backstory, and that was just meant for character development purposes. I suppose it could be either. Let's see what else we got. Whoever's in those cabins are bringing the pain. Yes, we got some new locations to look forward to in season 3, and I am super, super psyched to see some of these new locations. Cannibal Village, as we have been calling it. It looks awesome. It looks like it's going to be a pretty interesting place. We see these cabins out in the distance, and shit, I might have already passed them. Here they are. Yeah, we got some new locations coming in season 3, and I cannot wait to see what is going on here and what these weird kind of totem scarecrow things are going to be for as well. So yeah, we got some new places. To look forward to. In my opinion, the reference to trees, fallen tree, trees moving, faraway trees, blood symbol showing up in the roots at the end, all a reference to family, trees, and bloodlines, the ancestry of people brought here. Ooh, interesting. Okay, yeah, and we've seen that this show has had so many dual meanings to things. And I know you and I specifically talked about this in the Discord, I believe, Julia, in terms of some of the episode titles and some of the overall themes of the show, sometime having dual meanings. And maybe that's what's going on here with the trees. Maybe the trees are an actual plot device within the show, but maybe they're also meant to signify some kind of family bloodline, family tree, maybe. That's interesting. That's certainly a possibility. Certainly possible. I think the sun is mentioned because that is part of their trauma. Just like Sarah running away from the bad situation, I don't think we will actually have Thomas show up. Yeah, I don't think Thomas will actually show up physically. We might learn a little bit more through Jim or Tabitha, maybe. But yeah, I don't think Thomas will actually show up. I do agree there. And yeah, like you said, that whole situation could have solely just been set up for character development, like you mentioned, to showcase the trauma, showcase the event that kind of drove Tabitha and Jim apart. And it might not be any more than that. It might solely be just for that. And that's certainly possible. We might not see anything again on Thomas. I wouldn't be too surprised if we didn't, I guess. I know it's to keep chaos from ensuing, but the way some of the characters take their roles so seriously is bizarre. Like Kenny's gonna have that he was a deputy sheriff for a couple years in his resume. Yeah, if Kenny ever does make it out into the real world, he's filling out a resume. He's like, yeah, I was a sheriff in Fromville for 2 years. Yeah, that'll look great. That'll look great on his resume, especially him shooting the gun in the air and leading to multiple people's deaths as they run off in fear and get killed by the monsters later that night. Great going, Kenny. Great going. But no, that's a good one. That is a good one. I think the main group is kind of like the main group of Lost, a soul group, but they've spawned and met together in many past lives. The numbers on the caves that were important in history and moved. Yeah, again, that was one of my favorite things of Lost when that show was on, when you start to see more of these flashbacks and you start to realize that just about all of these characters that crashed on this island have interacted or have some kind of connection with each other that most of them don't even know about. And that was always one of the fun parts of Lost for me, was discovering all these little ways that these characters were connected and related to each other in some instances. And I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing some things like that revealed in From as well, where we start to learn that maybe some of these characters have some other connections to each other that even they don't know about yet. Maybe. Let's see what else we got. I know it's a theory. We will meet new people. Also trapped in Fromville is a strong theory, but I hope not. I won't care about them. Yeah, I guess that could be kind of interesting. Like, obviously, we're going to be getting new characters from the whole, the way. And I love how they've set this show up in terms of the entrance to Fromville. It's a very interesting plot device where the writers, can kind of add new characters to this show anytime they want, simply by having another car arrive. So it's a very useful way to introduce new characters onto the show. But that could be a different kind of scenario entirely if we get some new characters that are already in Fromville that our survivors meet. And yeah, I mean, will we be as invested in those kind of characters? Probably not. I mean, I don't think I would be as invested in some new kind of character that just comes out of the blue that's been in Fromville the entire time, or a whole other group of characters maybe. Yeah, you certainly probably, at least off the bat, you wouldn't be as invested in them as we are our main town. But no, I think that could be an interesting aspect, though, if they do add some other kind of group that's already in Fromville to the storyline. Because if that happens, then at that point, it really makes the interdynamics of the town even more interesting and even more dangerous. Because now they don't just have to worry about the monsters coming out at night. Now they have to worry about the other humans during the day as well. Sabotage, marauders, stealing, raiding Fromville and stealing supplies. If there is another human faction out there, the danger level instantly goes up because now you got to worry about people and monsters. And that was one of the aspects that made Walking Dead early on so interesting and intriguing, because it got to a point where the walkers weren't even the main threat. It was other people that were the main threat. So yeah, could we see something similar happening here on Fromville, where we meet some other group that's already stuck here that maybe our main group clashes with? That could add a very interesting dynamic to the show. That could add a very interesting dynamic. I like it though. I like it. Yeah, I'm on the verge of the nut house with this show. Right? It really does. It just drives you absolutely nuts sometimes. Just thinking about all of the questions, all of the symbols, all of the weird foreshadowing. Yeah, it can drive you a little nutty at times, can't you? But at the same time, that's what makes this show fun. Trying to figure these things out. It's yeah, it can be fun. It can be very fun, but it can also drive you up a dang wall sometimes. Let's see what else we got. The tree takes you to random times and not necessarily different places, because Boyd was in the same place, different time. Yeah, well, we see Boyd. He kind of gets spit out into that shaft, grabs the torch from the wall, leaves the building, and all of a sudden it's nothing but ruins behind him. It's not until he returns back to it and puts that torch back within the radius and lights it up that the place kind of appears again. But when it is ruins, he goes back to look for the shaft, and the shaft isn't even there. So yeah, we do see that place at two different points in time, or two different periods, so to speak. This show will have a reset ending paradox where they never get trapped from. The phone doesn't ring, so Thomas doesn't die. Ooh, interesting. Like the ending will be them kind of redoing everything, so none of them ever get stuck there in the first place. That could be interesting. I suppose that could be interesting. I mean, it would involve some sort of, like you said, some sort of reset via time travel or some other paradox. And I am a little weary when it comes to full-on time travel being introduced into the show. I'm totally cool with certain aspects of time travel being introduced to the show, but full-on time travel sometimes, just for me personally, sometimes can ruin stories for me. Unless it's done right. Like, time travel needs to be well thought out. It has to have some very clear rules to it and a very clear mechanism for how it works. And if you do that, time travel can add something interesting to a story. But in my experience, there have been so many lazy additions of time travel into good stories that it sometimes ruins the story. But if they do time travel and they do it in a very unique way, that could be pretty interesting. Because I know a lot of people definitely think that that's where this show is heading, into time travel area. And it could be. Who knows? Who knows? It could be. Let's see what else we got. It might be random, but I'm stuck on Fatima. I think somehow she's the bad guy. She's too nice, and that whole theory of the place feeding on hope. And how did she get the best room in that house? Ooh, interesting. Interesting. Yeah, Fatima is a very intriguing character. We don't know a whole lot about her past and her background, but she does seem to be, at least in the beginning of the story, she's one of those characters that's just full of hope. And even Julie kind of asks her over and over again during season 1, like, why are you so happy? How are you still like this? And Fatima just doesn't let this place get her down. She just hasn't let her really broken her spirits until we get to season 2, and we start to notice in season 2 that Fatima does slowly but surely this place starts to wear on her a little bit more. And then towards the end of season 2, when we find out about the pregnancy, things get even more dire for Fatima. And I feel like at the end of season 2, Fatima is probably at her most vulnerable and certainly at her most frightened. Yes, her and Ellis have the nice wedding at the end of season 2, which I'm sure was a high point for her. But apart from that, Fatima really seems to be going through it towards the end of the second season. And we look at some of the images from the season 3 trailer. Now, I know it's been debated up until this point as to whether or not this is a real scene or one of those dream sequence scenes that From is so famous for. And I suppose it could be either. But we know that Fatima is pregnant. And we know that according to her, she thought she wasn't even capable of getting pregnant. So I think a lot of us have surmised that this is not going to be a normal pregnancy. This is not going to be a normal kind of 9-month pregnancy with a smooth birth at the ending. Something strange is going on here. And I definitely think that is the case as well. And we've seen some kind of foreshadowing for that. We hear Ellis in season 2 talk about he keeps having these fears, or he keeps seeing this image of the baby being born with fangs and claws. And here we see Fatima physically getting much, much weaker, most likely due to the pregnancy. And I get the feeling it's because this is not a normal child. This is not a normal human fetus. I think something very strange is going to be going on with Fatima. And I do worry about her making it to the end of season 3. I hope this pregnancy isn't the thing that does her in, but it does look like it's going to be a gnarly pregnancy. I don't think it's going to be normal. And then we have the whole theory of Fatima being one of the potential possibilities of being one of the characters that is in the barn with Boyd. We see Boyd being strapped to this kind of post, and he is being forced to watch something horrific. And some of us have thought that maybe he is being forced to watch Fatima give birth as the monsters steal her child. And I did a whole video on it as well. If you guys want to check it out after the stream, check it out. It's called Fatima's Monster Baby. Just an interesting kind of tinfoil hat that I throw together. But many people have thought that this baby isn't going to be normal. And I'm right there with everybody else. I don't think this is going to be a normal pregnancy. I think Fatima has a very strange journey ahead of her. Very strange journey. But I guess we'll see. I guess we will see. Let's see what else we got. Let's see what else we got. Let me scroll down a bit. Good night, chat. Unfortunately, it's an early school night for me. Keep up the great theory crafting, my friends. Well, thank you so much, Robert, for joining us tonight, my friend. And yes, have a good night. Have a good night. The phone seems to be significant tied to Thomas's death. They hear the phone ringing a lot, even the thing with Kenny, etc. Yes, the phones are very interesting, and I think a lot of us very much want to see the storyline continue that started at the end of season 1, when Jim and Jade finally build the radio tower, and Jim gets this cryptic message that comes over the radio right at the very end. Your wife shouldn't be digging that hole, Jim. And then, of course, we see this trailer for season 3, where the same phone that, as you mentioned, the same phone that Kenny got his message on, now all of a sudden, Jim seems to be getting some sort of message from this same phone. And we've discussed this a lot, on the channel and in the Discord, and you guys know me, what I think. I think it would be so interesting and very kind of a good way to kind of tie it back to the end of season 1 in the voice that came off the radio. If Jim picks up the phone this time and he hears, your wife shouldn't have left Jim, or your wife shouldn't have escaped Jim, I just think it could be a very interesting callback to that season 1 storyline, and it would tell us as the audience that they do plan on continuing that storyline and giving us an answer at some point in time. And on top of that, that will also give Jim and the townsfolk the confirmation that they need that Tabitha did indeed escape and is in the real world. Because I imagine they're probably going to be wondering what happened to Tabitha until they get confirmation. Yes, everyone knows that Tabitha and Victor went off, and Victor was sending her to the tower, to the lighthouse. But are they going to just automatically assume that Tabitha is well and made it out of Fromville because when she doesn't return back to town? Or could they stop and be thinking maybe something happened to her, maybe she's dead? They'll have no way of really knowing what happened to Tabitha until they get confirmation that she did indeed escape. This could be one of the possible ways that they get that confirmation. Jim gets a voice, gets the ring, and he hears, your wife shouldn't have escaped, Jim. Could be an interesting way to reveal to the town that Tabitha is gone. I also like Julie's theory as well, in terms of maybe the cop Acosta being the one to deliver the news that Tabitha did indeed escape. Because we see Tabitha wakes up in the hospital, and she's been on this after being found on the side of a trail. Now, we know that Tabitha and her entire family were reported missing. And if Tabitha shows up just by herself, it's going to look very suspicious. She could even end up winding a suspect in her own family's disappearance. If she shows up and her family is still missing and she doesn't have an adequate answer as to what happened to her, as to where she's been, it's not like she can just outright come and say, yeah, I've been stuck in this nightmare world with no help of escape where monsters hunt you at night. They'll throw her in a padded cell. And so I thought it could be interesting that maybe Acosta might be the one to deliver the news that Tabitha has escaped, because when Tabitha wakes up, there is probably going to be an officer that is sent to the hospital to speak with her because she was a former missing persons. That is just standard police protocol. If someone arrives in a hospital that has been reported missing, the hospital has to call the police. It is protocol, it's law. So I wouldn't be too surprised if a cop does come to the hospital and wants to talk to Tabitha and get some answers from her, and maybe it's even this same cop that Tabitha talks to in the hospital that ends up getting stuck here in Fromville. That could be another possibility for how the people inside the town get definitive confirmation that Tabitha did indeed escape. Because again, we have heard from the creator that escape will be a real and tantalizing possibility for the survivors. And I imagine that would only be the case if they find out that Tabitha did indeed escape, but they need to figure that out somehow. Is it the cop that brings that news? Could it be Jim receiving that news over the phone? I don't know. Maybe it's both, either or both. Who knows? But I like both theories. That is for sure. But either way, I really hope that they continue this storyline as opposed to the voice that Jim hears at the end of season 1. They bring it up for a split second in season 2, and Donna shuts that shit down quicker than spit. She is not having any of it when Jim wants to start investigating this voice a little bit more. So hopefully we see that storyline continue a little bit more in season 3, because I want to know what the heck is going on there. Who was on the other end of that voice, the other end of that radio? And were they ultimately trying to help, or was it a little bit more of a sinister message? Were they trying to warn Tabitha that she really shouldn't be digging that hole because it'll lead to something bad? Or were they it did have a little bit more of a sinister sound to it when it said, your wife shouldn't be digging that hole, Jim. Sounded a little sinister. But could they potentially have just been trying to help, I guess, is the question. I don't know. We got Luna Cascade for $5. Thank you so much, Luna. We need to know what the memories of Mari, Randall, and Julie from when they were captured. Yes, even if they can't remember, they must have some valuable info. And I think that is a phenomenal question. I have wondered that a little bit myself, too. What exactly are they going to remember? Because like you said, we see them kind of get overtaken by these weird cicadas at the end of season 2, and they kind of get thrown into this trance-like, coma-like state, where their physical bodies, I think I have a few pictures of them, their physical bodies are in the town back in the real world. Here we have Randall, and their eyes are kind of glazed over, kind of clear, grayish white like that. But we see Randall, we see Julie, and we see Mari. And all three of them get taken over by these cicadas. And while their physical body remains in Fromville, it seems like their dream state or their spiritual state is projected inside that same prison that Martin was in. So what exactly is going on there? I mean, I really am wondering that too. Now that they have woken up after Boyd seemingly destroys the music box and it kind of releases whatever hold that the entity had over Julie, Randall, and Mari, we see them wake up. But what kind of state are they going to be when they wake up, I guess, is the question. And I'm right there with you, Luna. What will they remember? Will they remember being overtaken by these cicadas? Will they remember being prisoner in this place? Or will it be one of those things where they're kind of coming out of a coma and they don't remember any of it? Because like you said, I imagine depending on what they remember, they could potentially come back with some valuable information maybe. So no, I'm wondering that too, and that's an awesome question. What exactly are they going to remember, if at all? It's definitely a question, and hopefully it's one we learn pretty early on. Even if it's in just a quick little kind of throwaway line or something that we get from Randall, Mario, or Julie, as opposed that we hear, maybe they don't remember anything, or maybe at first they don't remember anything, but as season 3 continues to progress, they slowly start getting memories or flashes of memories that start coming back to them. Maybe I could totally see the writers playing it that way, where it appears like they don't remember anything at first, but lo and behold, as the season progresses, it slowly starts coming back to them, and maybe that will slowly start to reveal some answers. Because, yeah, I imagine they could potentially have some interesting information, right? I mean, yeah, I'm with you. I am with you. And thank you so much for the 5. And I see you guys calling for the woe, and the woe you will get.
Whoa!
The woe, the woe, the woe. Oh, and it looks like we got one more super chat from my pal Rick Saylor. What is up, Rick? Always good to see you, my friend. Been here with us since day one, even back in the day before this was even a Song of Ice and Fire channel. This was an independent comic book channel, and I predominantly just promoted a lot of my friends who are comic book creators and promoted their work, which I still try to do from time to time. But Rick's been here since day one, and you have been such a supporter, Rick. I can't thank you enough, and a friend. You know, Rick is my friend too, as well. Thank you, man. Thank you for the 5. Congratulations on the growth of your channel, brother. Check your X. I sent you some messages. I will definitely, as soon as this stream is done, I will check those messages, and I will get right back to you, 100%. 100%. Thank you so much, man, and thank you so much for the 5. And it looks like we also have a $4.99 super sticker from Christine Jellybean. Thank you so much, Christine. I very much appreciate that. And we have a cat saying painting number 1. Yes! Well, you guys are number 1. Each and every one of you in the chat, you guys and gals, are number 1. And I just can't thank all of you enough for all the support you guys have shown the channel. It truly is overwhelming at times when I think of the support you guys have shown us. It kind of chokes me up at times. And I don't get choked up over much. So thank you guys. Thank you so much for all of the support. And I see some 2 more calls for the woe. So Christine and Rick, you guys also have a woe coming your way.
Whoa!
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Very much appreciate all of the support. You guys really have been so cool. So freaking cool. My dog just jumped, says Vic. Yeah, I know. I need to find a woe that's a little bit quieter. I keep meaning to get a woe that's not as loud and upload it, and I just keep forgetting about it. I need to set a reminder to replace the woe with something that's not so loud. I know some people love the loud woe, but some people don't love the loud woe. So I'll upload a quieter woe for sure. For sure. Cat jumps when it happens. She knows something fun is happening. Well, that is true. Something fun is happening when we hear that woe. Some awesome, great discussion on the show that we all love. Absolutely. Absolutely. Bob Haynes says, I think Martin died a very long time ago, and the evil entity is manifesting as him. It can take the form of any of the dead people there. And I definitely think something is up with Martin as well. And it could very well be something like that. Like when we go back to the scene, and we just rewatched the scene the other night in the Discord, and there's a point in time where Martin, his whole demeanor changes, almost like he becomes an entirely different person. Where at first, he's kind of chipper. He's telling Boyd, you got a beautiful face. You have a kind-looking face. He's telling him where he's from. Kind of like your friendly neighbor kind of attitude that Martin has when Boyd first gets to the top of the well. But then, right when the music starts, we see the music box. Right when the music starts playing, we see a very significant change in Martin, where even his eyes look different, and he turns and looks over to Boyd and says, what if your wife was right? What if Abby was right? What if this place is just a dream. And of course, that was incredibly sus to each and every one of us. How the heck does this Martin dude know about Abby and know about Abby's theory? So yeah, that has definitely led a lot of us to question this entire encounter that Boyd has. Is Martin real? Is he just one kind of big manifestation from the entity in order to lure Boyd to set him free? Because whatever is happening here, we know that this entity was trapped and held prisoner in here by something. We're not exactly sure what trapped the entity here, but we do know that the entity needed Boyd to set it free. And it looks like it might have manifested this Martin character in order to get close to Boyd. And I think that's where the Marine tattoo comes into place. A lot of people have pointed out the Marine tattoo on Martin, and we know that Boyd was also a member of the armed services as well. He also served. So if Boyd sees a Marine tattoo or any fellow service member tattoo, you know that that is instantly going to create a deeper connection with Boyd to this character. You know Boyd is not going to leave this guy behind. Seeing that tattoo instantly gets Boyd emotionally invested in saving Martin. So yeah, I think this whole thing could be one giant mind meld, one giant kind of trick by the entity to get Boyd close and to get Boyd to become the new host of this entity so he could, in fact, free it and bring it back to town. It's because, yeah, Martin is super sus, super sus. And later on in the season, when Boyd does return to this place to save Julie, Randall, and Mari, it doesn't look like we can see Martin's body anywhere, like it straight up just disappeared. And that kind of leans even more evidence to Martin maybe never being real in the first place. So yeah, I like that theory. I think Martin very well could have just been one giant mind screw from the entity. And I know a lot of us are still wondering, how the hell did Martin throw that freaking rope down to Boyd if he's trapped to a wall? We see Martin is clearly chained to this wall, and he's a good 10 or so feet away from the well. There's no way he should be able to drop a rope down to Boyd. So yeah, a lot of questions when it comes to old Martin. Lot of questions. Yeah, that dang rope, right, Daryl? That dang freaking rope. What's up with that dang rope? I don't know. Still makes me question what the heck is going on in this scene. That rope is sus. Very, very sus. Let's see what else we got. Hard to say. We see a dream do real damage to Kenny and almost drown Elgin. And that's exactly the reference we were bringing up the other night in the Discord as well. I'm so glad you mentioned that. Because, yes, we have seen Season 2 has very much established that things can get pulled into the real world from the dream state. Like you said, Kenny in the cicada gets burnt in his dream, wakes up, still has the burn mark on his arm. Elgin as well. He gets pushed underneath the tub in that dream, gets drowned by that weird kind of Fatima-looking creature. He wakes up spitting out water. So we do know that things can physically be manifested from the dream world into the real world. So if this is one big kind of vision, dream-like state, that certainly doesn't mean that Boyd couldn't have brought these worms into the real world from this dreamlike state. Because, yeah, like you said, the show has clearly established that things can be manifested from dreams. So that's possible. That is possible. Let's see what else we got. Scrolling down, Martin might have played some kind of leader of his group that Boyd is, at least when he was alive. And that's also a very kind of popular theory as well. Some people think that Martin might have been a member of the town of Fromville, maybe even during 1978 when Victor was when Victor was there, when Victor was a child, or maybe he was a member of the town from a much, much earlier time period, because some people have tied the specific Marine tattoo that Martin has, have dated it right around maybe the Civil War era time. So Martin might have been a human at one point. He might have been a member of the town at one point. Maybe it was just decades or even centuries ago. That's very possible as well. And if that is the case, it would add a little bit more evidence that this could be that evil entity screwing with Boyd, because we know that entity can take on the form of dead people. It took on Abby's form multiple times in Season 2. So maybe it's using Martin's form here to trick Boyd. That's certainly possible. Certainly possible. Makes me wonder why it doesn't take any other forms of people that are alive. It seems like it uses Ellis against Boyd too in the well. Oh, that's right, Alyssa. I forgot. Yeah, when Boyd is trying to climb up the well before the rope is thrown down, or when the rope is thrown down, he's trying to climb up. He looks down and he sees Ellis holding the boat key. So you're right. Maybe people don't have to be dead for the evil spirit to kind of manifest them. Maybe it can do it to people that are alive too. That's a good point. That is a good point, Alyssa. Yeah, I like it. I like it. Interesting stuff. Oh, didn't think about that before. Maybe the music awakened the worms in him. And that's what we were starting to think, because we hear Martin say, when the music stops, they'll be coming. And all of us assume that when Martin said that something would be on its way, maybe whatever trapped Martin here or something along those lines. But maybe Martin was trying to convey to Boyd that when the music stops, the worms will arrive. Like you said, maybe the music summons the worms. Could be. I don't know. It's an interesting theory, though. It is a very interesting theory. I like it. I like it. I feel even if that wasn't the real Martin, Martin is real and isn't bad. And that could be the case as well. This could be a, just some kind of mindfuckery, and maybe there's a real Martin somewhere else. That's possible, I suppose. That is definitely possible. Absolutely. Absolutely. But Martin was dodgy right off, not answering important questions. He was a little bit dodgy. Again, I know, Boyd's trying to ask him these direct questions, and Martin's kind of just lollygagging off, talking about, other things. But I do think Boyd should have pressed him a little bit more for answers. Boyd doesn't ask who put him there. Like, if I was Boyd, I would have been doing nothing but trying to get answers out of Martin. There's even at one point in this scene where Boyd tells Martin to stop talking. And I'm like, no, don't stop talking. Keep talking. Tell me who the hell you are, dude. How did you get here? Who put you here? Where these worms come from? I would have been asking so many questions to this dude. But yeah, then again, can't reveal everything. Can't reveal everything too soon, I suppose. Can't reveal everything too soon. Let's see what else we got. Sarah had said they laughed at him for setting it free, implying Martin was likely an agent of the entity. That is very true, BK. Yeah, Sarah gets that kind of message directly from the entity when Kenny and Boyd travel back there looking for answers. And yeah, like you said, like you mentioned, the entity is literally laughing at Boyd for setting him free. And again, that's always made me think, okay, Boyd, the entity definitely clearly needed Boyd to come and set it free. But who or what trapped the entity in the first place? We saw how powerful and what this entity was capable of. This was a formidable entity that was unleashed on the town. Very powerful, it seemed. But what exactly trapped the entity in the first place? What was powerful enough to imprison this entity inside this place? That is what I want to know. Could that be the big bad? Was it the town or Fromville itself that trapped the entity in there? That's a question that I feel we might never get the answer to. What was powerful enough to trap this entity in this place in the first place? I don't know. But hopefully we get an answer to it at some point. Hopefully we get an answer to it. What trapped Martin, or who trapped Martin? That is the question. Let's see what else we got. I think season 1 established that though, have you seen the town? Yeah, Martin does say, are you from the town? He asks Boyd, are you from the town? And according to Martin, everything got progressively worse when he went through a faraway tree. According to Martin, he went through a faraway tree and potentially ended up in that same shaft that Boyd found himself in. Or at least, according to Martin's story. Martin could have been bullshitting, of course. But according to Martin, everything changed when he went through the tree and he realized things were much worse here than he originally envisioned. That the town was nowhere near the most dangerous part of Fromville. And yes, where did the upside down car come from? Asks Susie. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, next to the empty pool with the sign for the missing hotel. Yes, we see the sign for the hotel that used to be there, but the hotel is gone. I mean, the lot where the hotel used to be is still there. Now it's just kind of an empty field, but we still see the underground pool that is there with the car kind of tipped up over into it. So yeah, very strange how that ended up there. Did someone drive into that? And just kind of drive into the pool and flip their car over. Some people have pointed to some kind of flood maybe happening years ago, which could be possible. We have seen some evidence for some foreshadowing of floods in some of Victor's drawings. But yeah, what exactly happened to the hotel that was there? The only thing I can think of is maybe whatever happened to the Matthews family home happened to the hotel as well. Because we see whatever is in charge of this place, whatever kind of entity, whatever kind of consciousness that Fromville has, is clearly very powerful and it clearly has a good degree of control over the town. We saw it single-handedly just destroy the Matthews family home. Didn't destroy any other buildings near it. It specifically only collapsed the Matthews family home. And I wonder if something else might have happened at some other time period where maybe that exact thing happened to the hotel as well. Because I'm trying to figure out where the heck this hotel went. I mean, we see the lot that it was once in, as you mentioned. We see the sign for the motel is still up, but the building up for the hotel itself is gone. So yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised if whatever happened to the Matthews family home happened to the hotel as well, and it got just utterly destroyed maybe. But why remains to be seen. Remains to be seen. Yeah, maybe it was Victor's crash. Yeah, maybe Victor crashed the car into the pool. Honestly, that doesn't even really sound that much out of the norm of possibility. I mean, we do hear in one of the behind the scenes features, the actor Scott McCord, who plays Victor, says that Victor moved all of those cars into that car graveyard when he was around 10 years old. So I imagine a 10-year-old Victor probably wouldn't have been the best driver. So yeah, maybe he accidentally drove one of the cars into the pool instead of bringing it out to the boneyard. Maybe that's possible. Certainly possible. I think there may be two ways to enter or leave the town: one with your memories and one without. Ooh, interesting. Interesting. And that has been a question on a lot of our minds when concerning Eloise. Now, we still have no idea what really happened to Eloise. Did she die in town? Did she end up making it out of Fromville? A lot of us seem to think, or at least are hoping, that she made it out in some way, shape, or form. And I think she made it out too. I do have a feeling that Eloise did successfully make it out of Fromville. But if she did, where did she end up? I mean, is she back in the real world? Could she potentially have been spat out in the same town that Tabitha is in? Who knows? All we hear from Victor is when he goes out, when he emerges from the root cellar the next morning, he goes and looks for his mother's body, and he finds his mother's dead body laying next to the bottle Faraway tree. But he never mentions Eloise. And we do actually hear the showrunner, Jeff Pinker, in one of the behind the scenes, mentions that Eloise leaves the town and never returns. Because a lot of us wondered, could Eloise potentially return to the town at some point after the massacre? If this behind the scenes clip is to be believed, to be accurate, it seems like Eloise never returned to the town and her body was never discovered. So that begs the question, what exactly happened to Eloise? Could she have escaped in maybe a similar manner that Tabitha escaped? Could be. It's maybe possible. And if she did escape, how much does she remember is the question. Could Eloise have escaped Fromville, be back in the real world, and maybe the more time she spent away from Fromville, she started losing her memories of being in the town? And I always thought that was an interesting theory, and certainly could be possible. The show has definitely been playing with some very weird concepts in terms of memory and forgotten memories and recovered memories. And part of me still thinks that the writers put Victor's lunchbox in Tabitha's possession for a very specific reason that is going to come into play in season 3. I very much believe that. And who knows, maybe Eloise doesn't remember Fromville, and maybe seeing that lunchbox will bring those memories back for Eloise. because there aren't going to be many people in the real world that are going to recognize that lunchbox. But Eloise could potentially be one of the few characters that could see that lunchbox in Tabitha's possession and instantly recognize it as Victor's, or maybe that will jog some of her memories and have some of her memories return after seeing it. Because it's just way too specific of an item to not play some sort of narrative role in season 3. Again, from a writer's standpoint, you don't give Tabitha that lunchbox if you weren't specifically meaning for it to come up in season 3. So yeah, the lunchbox will play some sort of role. I'm just not exactly sure what role it'll play yet, but it might be the catalyst that brings Eloise and Tabitha together potentially. Potentially, who knows? Or maybe it'll be something else entirely. Maybe it will be something else entirely. Let's see what else we got. Maybe the marionette guy, what's his name? Maybe he just had some bad dreams and the cars started falling from the sky. The marionette guy, Christopher, the dude that we think might have owned the ventriloquist doll? Maybe. And that's another huge question in and of itself. What exactly happened to Christopher? It seems like he was being plagued with the same symbol that Jade is now seeing. But what exactly does that mean? And what ultimately happened to Christopher? Was he able to solve the mystery of this puzzle? Did it end up driving him mad, maybe? Who knows? Still so many questions surrounding old Christopher. But I guess we shall find out. Vic says, all in all, I don't think we've met the real big bad guy yet. And that's the question. I mean, who is going to be the main antagonist of this show? Is it actually going to be a villain type character like the boy in white or some other kind of figure that hasn't been revealed yet? Or could it maybe just be the town itself is the main antagonist and escaping the town is the ultimate goal? And maybe we'll see some other creatures along the way. And I definitely think that much will be true. Whether we do get a big reveal of one big bad main villain or not, I definitely think at the very least we will see some other horrors that this kind of town throws at us. I do think that is the case. I do think we will see some other horrors. Unfortunately, I don't think the 3 will have clear memories of the dungeon dream state, just the vague sense of dread Elgin had after his dream. Randall suddenly dropping wisdom in the trailer, though. Yeah, I like that line from Randall, where he says, everyone's running around here afraid of dying, but what if death isn't the worst thing that could happen to you here? And that just kind of makes you think of a whole ton of things. And yes, maybe there are some other fates out here that are just worse than death, like whatever happened to these Onkui children, for starters. It seems like we're not 100% sure what happened to them yet, but they seem to be in some sort of kind of weird experiment or sacrificial ritual of some sort, probably unwittingly. So yeah, maybe there are some worse fates in here than dying, like being turned into a monster too. We have gotten some surrounding evidence that could point to these monsters potentially being human at one point. We hear Jasmine, the Jasmine monster in season 1 before the Colony House Massacre, say to Kevin that it wasn't her choice to become this. We also get the autopsy scene in season 2 where Christy cuts open Smiley and finds all of these shriveled up human organs, which again points to maybe the monsters were human at some point. I don't know, but maybe there is some fates out here that are worse than death, like being turned into a monster, for instance. Maybe. Interesting stuff. There seemed to be a time/dimension shift in the dungeon when Martin was there and when our 3 are chained there. Yeah, it's very interesting, the mechanism on how that kind of dungeon works. It seems like Boyd specifically had to bring that same torch back to the ruins, step inside of it, light the torch, and boom, then the place emerged. So yeah, it does seem like there are some weird kind of time dimensional displacement going on there, where you can only access some of these places under very certain circumstances. And who knows, maybe we'll find some other locations that are kind of similar to that dungeon, where you need a certain torch or you need a certain item to even reveal the place. Maybe we'll see some more. Maybe we'll see some more locations. Maybe. Maybe. That dude under the boulder was creepy as fuck. Yes, he was, wasn't he? Creepy ass dude under the boulder. Where'd he go? I think I got him here somewhere. No, I saw him earlier. I think I got the creepy boulder dude here somewhere. Thought I did. There he is. Creepy boulder dude. Yes, now, and this, of course, is the very first vision that Jade ever has, actually. This is the first time Jade sees the symbol and the first time he's plagued with one of these weird visions. But what exactly is this vision trying to convey to Jade? That, of course, we still don't know. But yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. And it's very interesting how where the boulder and the mangled person is seems to be the exact destination for faraway trees. Like when Julie goes into the faraway tree, she ends up right in this cupboard. So yeah, it's almost like, you know, I get the feeling this boulder couldn't fit in a faraway tree. So I don't know if a faraway tree transported this dude here. But something weird happened. Something weird and tragic happened to this dude. That's for sure. That is for sure. But yeah, maybe we'll never find out what. Maybe we will never find out. Let's see what else we got. Let's see what else we got. Man, I cannot wait for season 3 to get here. Please, September 22nd, get here already. Theory: when they first started spike stripping newcomers, they did it too close to the town and caused the wreck. Oh, that's a very good explanation for it, BK. Actually, I could easily see that happening. Yeah. Because, yeah, we see that Boyd and Kenny started to employ the spike strip method to kind of stop cars in their track after they have driven around Fromville enough times. So, yeah, maybe that is the case. Maybe that is the case. Maybe it was a spike strip incident gone bad and the car kind of went off the road and into the pool. Although I need to go back and watch that scene and see if the fence is intact. That much I don't know. Is the fence intact right in front of that car? Because if the fence is a little bit mangled, I think you might be onto something there. If the fence is a little bit mangled, or if there's a portion of the fence that's missing where that car could have gone through, then I think you could be spot on to something. But if the fence is still intact and there's no break in the fence, then it just becomes even a bigger question as to how the car really got there, I guess. So I'm going to have to go back and look at that scene and see if the fence is mangled or if the fence is intact. But no, that could be an interesting possibility right there. That maybe it was a spike strip incident gone wrong. That's definitely possible. Like someone had a bad dream in a hotel, pool, and a car flip, and church, and suburb. I mean, these are nightmare fuel. Yeah, I mean, and that's another thing. We're all trying to wonder how exactly this town got started in the first place. And if people's fears can be physically manifested in this place, did this town get pulled directly out of someone's nightmare? And if that's the case, did the monsters themselves get pulled directly out of someone's nightmare? The monsters are very strangely referred to as nightmare creatures in the official description. Maybe they're trying to tell us something by that. Maybe they literally are nightmare creatures that were pulled out of someone's nightmare. I like it. And that could potentially explain their period correct clothing as well. All of the clothing that we see a lot of these monsters in seems to be dated to around the 50s, 60s era. And maybe these monsters were plucked directly out of a child's kind of nightmare back in that time period. Maybe. Who knows? Who knows? Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. But season 3, guys, is coming just around the corner, and I cannot wait for it to get here. And we are going to continue to dive into all things from season 3 and beyond, leading all the way up to the premiere. Of course, every Sunday live directly in our Discord. We have recently started our From Season 2 rewatch parties. We watched episode 1 and 2 this previous Sunday. This next Sunday coming up, we will be watching episodes 3 and 4 live directly in the Discord. I will create an event in the Discord so everyone can get reminded when the watch party goes live, but it'll probably be either 9 p.m. Eastern or 10 p.m. Eastern, our usual stream time, maybe an hour early. Again, either 9 or 10 East Coast is when the watch party will start Sunday night in the Discord. And of course, I have recently brought back our Fromville Friday streams. Thank God it's Fromville Friday. Those streams have been slowly returning. I miss our Friday streams. We used to have a ton of fun on our Fromville Friday shows. So I am bringing those back. So I will be live again this Friday for our TGIF. Thank God it's Fromville Friday. And, of course, our Saturday show will also be live as well, the usual Saturday show that we always do, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on the channel. And we are going to be slowly but surely gearing up for the Season 3 premiere, which is just around the corner now. Ladies and gentlemen, September 22nd, less than a month away. We are getting closer and closer now for Season 3. And I cannot wait. Let's go, says Illegal Mods. Hell yes, let's go. And yes, Julie, Fromville Friday is back indeed. Fromville Friday is back. And it's always a fun time to stream on Friday because I can go a lot later on Friday because I don't have work the next day. Usually when I'm doing my during the week stream like this, whether it's a Tuesday or a Wednesday, I try to keep it to around 2 hours or so just because I have to wake up hella early for work in the morning. But the Friday streams, those ones are definitely going to go a little bit longer and a little bit later because I won't have to wake up the next day. So our Friday streams will definitely be much longer than our Tuesday or Wednesday streams. That much I definitely promise you. But I want to thank everybody for joining me on this fine evening. I want to thank everybody for all the support you guys have shown this channel all year. It's been pretty crazy to see the growth that we've been getting on this channel. I just never in a million years would have expected it. And I just can't thank each and every one of you enough for creating a really awesome and welcoming From community here. And a place where people feel comfortable to come and hang out and share their thoughts and theories. One thing we never do is theory shame. All theories are welcome. You guys know me. All I say is throw on that tinfoil hat, dive into that rabbit hole, have fun with it. A show like this is meant to have fun with. So don't be afraid to go into some of those more crazy tinfoil-y realms. I love hearing that kind of stuff. But again, big thank you to each and every one of you for hanging out with us this evening. I hope everybody has a phenomenal rest of their week. Tomorrow, Wednesday, hump day, is almost here. And Thursday morning, I will have a From video premiering, so be on the lookout for that. My next video on From Season 3 will be premiering here on the channel on Thursday. And then, of course, on Friday, we will be returning with our Friday Fromville Hour, followed by our Saturday show the following day, followed by Sunday night. Our Season 2 rewatch party will continue. We'll be continuing our rewatch on episodes 3 and 4 of Season 2 this Sunday in the Discord. So definitely come and hang out for that as well. And again, big thank you to each and every one of you. You guys have been absolutely awesome. I cannot thank each and every one of you enough. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, stay safe out there in this crazy, crazy world that we find ourselves in. Be kind to one another. And as always, keep those tinfoil hats on, folks. And I will see you on the next one.